Hey, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to another look at the Epic Destiny changes for update 51. My name is Samius. Alas, I'm on JavaBot today. And we're taking a look at the martial Destinies. Some of these I have looked at a little bit more than others. This is my second video taking a look at Destinies, and we're going to kind of skim through them in general. We might look at some of them a little bit more closely if I'm not as familiar with them as others. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out either in the comments below or at me directly or whatever, Facebook, Twitter, find me in game, catch the Twitch page, whatever. And also, we are recording this live as part of our Twitch page or our Twitch stream, so feel free to come by and check us out live, twitch.tv/SamusGrowUp. Shadowdancer. So I'm going to summarize. Shadowdancer may be the best tree overall, in my opinion. I think it's going to be extremely good for high utility. I think everybody's going to have a little bit in it. But also, we all need to pour out a drink for meld. Rip the old meld, long live the new meld. So let's take a look at it. Cores are the darkest of luck. You gain trap finding feat if you did not already have it. Bing. Each core ability in this tree also grants the following: +1 to all spell DCs. Remember, it only goes for the highest of the thing, and it's very common for the last tree to give +3, but this one looks like it's going to give you +1, +2, and then +3, so a little bit better there. 10 melee power, so 30 melee power. 3 sneak attack dice. 8 range power, so what, 24. And then 5/15 force and universal spell power. Alright, core number 2, the darkest luck. You get Dimensional Door. As long as it continues to look like a big pink swirling butthole, that's what it's going to be. I love it. Everyone take a ride in my magical buttholes. The darkest luck, core 3, you gain the evasion feat. Normal evasion rules apply. If you already have evasion, you gain improved evasion. If you already have improved evasion, you no longer fail reflexes, automatically roll into 1. Yes. Can we please just have this same thing? Or, maybe not, man. Maybe, so we were talking about in a previous video about how one of the other feats gives evasion, grants evasion, but it doesn't do advancement. I would like it to, I'd like all of those things to give you evasion, or if you already have evasion, improved evasion. But I can understand not wanting to have improved evasion go to 1, because this is like your current capstone in the tree, right? So it's current power in the tree. So we don't want to go too ham. But that might just mean that this feels like a weak tier 3, and this should just be how this works always. If you get evasion, it should upgrade. If you get evasion, or you already have evasion, it steps you up the next tier of evasion. I just feel like that's the way that should be. Boom, boom, boom in general. So if that's the case, then maybe this feels weak. Except you have to remember it's also giving you the +1 to spell DCs, +10 melee power, +10. So it works out, I think, pretty strongly. All right, let's take a look at row 1. Stealthy, its tier 3 gives you hide in plain sight feat. That's pretty good, actually. I'd be pretty pleased to take stealthy. Cover of Darkness is your threat reduction and night shield spell. This is going to be a must for everybody, pretty much. That's not trying to take aggro. If you're not the tank, you should be running some sort of threat reduction, and this is probably a good one if you're competing in the DPS market. If you're not competing in the DPS market, then it's less important. But if you are competing in the DPS market, you should run some things. A bunch of spell points, a bunch of DCs with spear spells, i.e. PK, and 10 force absorption. I'm pretty in. The icon is weird, but it's fine. Also, this is a not activatable thing, and it's you can tell that it's got a square and a octagon, so clearly they're working on this. Assassinate DCs 246 to assassinate. That's gas. It's also low enough in the tree that like bird people could like again twist in. It ties up a tree, but it could twist in 6 to assassinate. Skills give you, if you have another thing, you also get sneak attack dice. That's fine as long as you were getting more feat selection. If we get some more feats, then that's good. Give us a feat every level. At level 20, I'd be totally fine with it. Even if they were like a different, like a lower tier of feats, where like these skill feats, it would be fine. Nimble fingers, etc. And they have these payoffs, it would be fine. Lithe is always good. Now it also gives force and universal spell power. We had our first epic strike in this tree. Dark Imbuement. You do 1d2 per sneak attack dice and untyped damage on a hit every 15 seconds. On a Vorpal, your attacks blind enemies with no save. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't care about that unless it works on a boss. Okay, now if you hit this and you do a spell instead, your sneak attack dice are now applied to harmful spell effects. Your spells do... Oh my god. That's really good. If you have a bunch of sneak attack dice, could you imagine hitting this button for 50... How long does it work? Your next spell? Like, this is your Hunt's End, your whatever, right? I feel like this has got to be gas. Stop. Hang on. Let's fill that in really quick. Give me whatever. I don't care. Where? Here it is. Okay, Epic Strike. Dark Imbuement. Now your spells do... Your sneak attack dice still apply, and your spells do an extra 1d6 per sneak attack dice. Are Arcane Tricksters a possibility now? We have to figure out how long this lasts. I was going to say that the new meld is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. But, yeah, last 10 seconds. Or your first attack. I don't have that many sneak attack dice, right? And this just like... Oh yeah, this is bonkers. Maybe the sneak attack dice only applies to the first thing hit. If that's true, that's lame. How much sneak attack dice do I have? Does it say? I thought it was... I have one. I have one. So that 1d6 that we saw there, that was it. So it's hitting one guy, even though it's an AoE sneak attack. Lame. Alright, I do have my magic missile clicky, so I'm going to try firing off my magic... Oh yeah, we're not in... Yeah, it only fired off on the first one. So that's less good, I guess. I was really excited. Having your spells be able to add your sneak attack dice would have been, like, all of them would have been really cool. I would rebuild several builds to add a whole bunch of sneak attack dice if it worked that way. But, like, I didn't even see the sneak attack dice in general. Okay, one more time. Yeah, it's not doing my sneak attack dice to everything in that area. So like all these monsters should take 1d6 extra points of sneak attack dice. And then it should do the 1 extra tick of damage, I guess, for one monster. So it's just not working. Your sneak attack dice are now applied to harmful spell effects. I have 1d6 currently. And that did not apply. Just that 1d6. Okay, hang on. Maybe I'm reading this as two separate or two abilities. Maybe it's not. Maybe this is a summary. So is this line? You guys can't see that. This line, your sneak attack dice are now applied to your harmful spell effects. Is that a summary of how they is that a summary of this ability? Your spells deal 1d6 untyped damage per sneak attack die you have. Blah blah blah. This may trigger only once per spell cast per monster, so multi-hit spells only have 1 additional damage value. So that all applies to this force damage, which I understand. But the sneak attack dice doesn't say that. Or we could have like 10% dodge bonus because of meld, like basically all the time. Meld is, I think the new meld is okay. This dark imbuement could be really sick if you have a bunch of sneak attack dice, and it actually works the way that I'm interpreting it to work, as opposed to the spell. This is a summary, because it would say like melee ranged. Your sneak attack dice are now applied in an additional untyped damage per hit. And again, we only have 1d6 extra sneak attack dice, so I'm not 100% sure that... Let's go way over here. Yeah, see, there was a d8 right there, and then it applied that extra bit of damage. I have the feeling it's just not adding the sneak attack dice to spells. The question is it doing it to AoE things? No. So they're only applying the sneak attack damage to the first attack. The first hit. The first source of damage. And they're not applying it like sneak attack. It's just giving you that extra thing. So if you had sneak attack dice, which I did for that one guy, which is why I got that 1d8, it would give it there. But now, if I have sneak... Okay, maybe the reason that it wasn't applying to spells is because I didn't qualify for sneak attack. Okay, so... This is gonna suck. Okay, we're gonna bluff this magic missile. Okay, bluff this magic missile. Yeah, still didn't apply any of the sneak attack dice. Okay. Anyway, so that has some interesting capabilities. If it does actually apply sneak attack dice to your spell, for the whole spell, for whatever, it could be really interesting. Meld, again, like I said, I think has a lot of potential to be really strong. But this thing could be sick. Alright. Also, this is our Hunt's End and our thing, right? So we're going to have to assume that this gets upgraded. Again, it would be awesome if we had any idea that it got upgraded based on the fact that it was in a column. Okay. Shadow Form is our mantle, so this is the other half of our power. Again, both of these abilities are the middle of tier 2, as opposed to a bunch of them being in tier 1. Shadowdancer Destiny Mantle grants 30% enchantment bonus to movement, 25% to sneak attack, you gain ghost touch, you may bypass incorporability. You also are affected less by caster movement penalties. So your arcane spell failure goes down? Is that what that's trying to tell us? Okay. But you don't have to go into all the way into stealth, into ghost mode. So you don't have to have the Featherfall version. I'm assuming this is a major form of... that's just the same thing, right? The mantle. It's a stance. Huh. I guess that's another reasonable way to get Ghost Touch if you need to. Interesting. Alright, Shadow Weaponry. We have to choose between 5, 10, 15% offhand, I presume. Or Meta Magic costs... is it up to 10? 9. That one... all of those that's like... save, 3, 6, whatever, it should always go to 10. Give the extra bonus, guys. Don't be stingy. No, it's 5, 10, 20. So that's pretty good. Shadow Weaponry. Sleight of Hand, 6 UMD, 75% damage, and healing with your wand. Okay, so they combined UMD and wand and Scroll Mastery in a nice way. They gave it a name. Again, I feel like you can have these flavorful things, but call them a thing. So it could be like Wand and Scroll Mastery, Sleight of Hand for the flavor, but they all go together so we know what they are. Grim Precision is always good. Bypassing Fortification and enemy dodge is good, especially if you're trying to do damage. Shadowcaster, 10% spell cooldown. It's great. Can stop right there. But it has more power. Alright, Mantle upgrade. Plus some sneak attack dice. Okay, in. So now with our new increased sneak attack dice. 46. What does this thing do? Still not great, but it's better, right? It was it's only a step in the right direction. And again, it upgrades off of... Sorry, it upgrades off of melee or ranged or force spell power, of which I don't have much of any of that stuff, right? So that's why it's kind of weird for me. Focus... So we get to pick a spell. They're basically all the same like that. It's interesting that there's an Abjuration spell DC. If anyone's got a reason for this, I'd like to hear it. I guess the one banishing spell, right, is Abjuration. But I don't understand why Abjuration's in here. Dark Speed. 2, 4, 6, double strike, double shot, I assume. Quicken costs less. Does that go like... lots less? Huh. That one's... Let's make sure this goes 2, 4, 6. Yeah. Huh. Weird. I guess if you're in the if you're in this as a caster, which you might be, you might want to take that. 3 less spell points from Quicken does not seem like a bank breaker to me, as opposed to 6 double shot, double strike. But again, it's something for a caster. Alright, our upgrades. So here's our epic moment thing, right? We can add, increases your melee range and reduces the cost of all your meta magics by 1. Okay. Or if we had taken Meld, we could do Improve Meld. That would take it up to 15% uncapped dodge. Again, the new meld is going to be okay. I'm going to take this and fiddle with it. Oh, I didn't take 20 points in the tree yet. Okay. Mostly because I'm really curious. Increase your melee range and reduce the cost of your meta magic. Like, it feels like it should be something good. When you roll a natural 20 on a melee or ranged attack, you envelop the target in a shadow, removing its immunity to sneak attack for a short duration. If you have the feat First Blood, both this and the First Blood apply. Oh wait, that's right. So if you First Blood and trigger this, no. If you have the feat First Blood, both this effect and the trigger of First Blood now applies in a Shadow Strike debuff. And First Blood now triggers on harmful spellcasts. So if you take that other feat and this, they combine together in such a way to give you the ability for spells to debuff. That's very confusing. It's unnecessarily confusing, right? When you roll a natural 20 on a melee range attack, you envelop the Dark Shadow, remove its means sneak attack for duration. If applicable, blam, done. If applicable, if you have the feat First Blood, both this effect and the trigger of First Blood now apply Shadow Strike debuff. And First Blood now triggers on harmful spellcasts. So First Blood can now trigger if you take this. Okay, that makes more sense. So now if you have taken First Blood, your spells can now trigger that. So if you like range them first, you get the extra big hit of damage in. Okay. And now, anytime that so when's this Shadow Strike go off? On this, anytime you roll a 20. So anytime you roll a 20, the person is going to get this debuff. It drops off one at a time, lasts 12 seconds, so you can have 3 stacks. So how often are you rolling 20 on a melee weapon? Because you only apply the debuff if you have both things off of the melee or ranged attack. And the natural 20. This is just a massive cluster. This whole power is... I think I understand what you want to do, devs. But communicating that to us is not easy. Try again. Start that description over. Shadowdancer, Destiny Mancer now grants you 5, 10, 15 to helpless. Yes, please. Oh, I guess we'll just click it for now. Dark Armor gives you PRR MMR, some Force and Universal Spell Power, and Immunity Energy Drain. Oh, that's fire. Pierce the Gloom. More sneak attack dice. +1 to hit. 2 hit for sneak attacks. And 2 hit while flanking. We were talking about these. These things all being like different are kind of weird. I don't entirely understand what's happening. I'm going to take this just to see if it... No. I'd like to have this go exactly... Cut something. Something can cut, right? Energy drain seems good. Alright, never mind. We're going to have 31. Alright, Shadowdancer Destiny. cloak yourself in magic and assume the form of illusionary shadow. This is where you pick up your 25% incorporeal, your plus 20 to hide and move silently, and then gives you Featherfall. Monsters with Tremor Sense no longer automatically detect you. Does that actually work? I don't think that actually works, but probably. Again, there's always one of these. Seems good. Weird. PK. Seems good. Part of the reason that the +1 to spell school DCs for like illusion here seems good. But also, does this go off the highest of everything? No, it's always spellbound. Always illusion. Some more spell DCs. So you pick up 3 here. You pick up 3 to your particular school that you like. Say like illusion. And you can pick up 3 more here. So you can pick up 9. It's pretty good. Then you have Epic Moment. Dissolve into a whirl of shadow, leaving your corporeal form behind. While in this form, you are considered sneaking and invisible regardless of what you do. You gain 3d6 sneak attack dice. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's try this. Let's try this. Alright, so that's Shadow Mastery. Put on our new shadow form. Alright. So why this is clicked, we are totally sneak attacking. I'm also curious about this, chat. So right now it's saying 66. Just curious. Still 66. Okay, did this change? It must have, right? Okay. So 66 sneak attack. Sneak attack. Dark imbuement. AoE spell. Only one guy got sneak attacked. Lame. But it did go for every spell I cast during that time. Huh. Yeah, I feel like I must be misunderstanding how this is supposed to work. Your sneak attack dice now applied to harmful spell casts, to me, infers that I should be getting sneak attack dice all the time if I'm applicable for being sneak attacked. Or being sneak attack. I feel like if that does work, Arcane Tricksters suddenly become possible and very cool. As it is, I think Shadowdancer is just going to be like your primary, secondary core, if that makes any sense. So you might switch around a bunch depending on what you're actually doing or whatever, but I think that you'll come back to Shadowdancer quite a bit. Whether you just go in and pick up Meld for that little bit of click all the time, whether you pick up the ability to do traps, wherever that was at, or you just want to go in and turn down your threat. I think a lot of people are going to end up over here kind of playing around with it. Alright, let's move on to Grandmaster. You cannot do all these things anymore. How are you doing on time? Not too bad. Alright, Grandmaster. You gain hand wrap proficiency, pretty cool. And each core is picking up melee, range, and hit points. So pretty good. The rest of the core gives us a weapon bypass, a little bit extra PRR, or 10 if you have the discipline feat. So get a nice tie-in if you have more feats. And then this guy gives us chaotic. Your weapons now bypass chaotic damage. You gain 5 MMR, or 10 if you have the discipline feat. So it might be worth it to pick up the discipline feat if you're going to do this stuff. And you get to pick up an extra bypass. Okay. I'm down with all that. Let's see. Stunning Fist DCs. Rank 3 is some healing amp. repair amp. Okay, but at least it's better than nothing. Having some sort of payoff for all three is better than none. Alright, here is our mantle. You may now fight the unarmed combat style, even if you're never a monk. I know Kung Fu. Finally, you're unbothered by physical restraints of the world. You may tumble through enemies and are immune to slippery surfaces and most forms of knockdown. Thank you. Let's see. Wholeness of spirit. So we can do the health key thing, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Could be good as long as we can keep ourselves generating ki, which I think is probably pretty unlikely. But it's possible like a weird Kensai build could make this, like, really take advantage of this too. Let's put it out there. Same thing if you're working with your ki, you're working with your ki, right? If you're doing ki stuff, you're doing ki things. Then we can pick up some strike through, double strike, etc. Like, you just get all of it, and whichever applies. I think that might be better than the multi-selector. But maybe the multi-selectors are easier to code. If so, why is this one not a multi-selector? Lotus Blade. Select a feat. Deflect arrows. Zen Archery. Whirling Steel Strike. Or Present Curve. I don't understand this one. Is there a sickle? The desire to use a sickle as a monk somewhere? I don't understand. Maybe you could figure out a way to do long swords somehow. But having an option to take deflect arrows is good. Dance of Flowers is great. +1 weapon. So now we have our strike. We get an attack. Looks like it does a pretty reasonable... Like, it's a cleave attack that does a bunch of damage. Is this on a upgradable tier as well? Yeah. Okay. So let's spend some mana really quick, I guess. Build some ki. All right. So this one. Let's see how this advances. So we go 3 weapon dice and +2 crit or +1 critical to 4 and 2, and then we get 5 and 3. The cooldown stays the same. So I don't think you need to increase the Drifting Lotus. Like, the force damage doesn't do all that much. Like, that doesn't increase. It doesn't do anything fancy. Yeah, I don't see a reason that you need to increase this above tier 1 if you decide to do Drifting Lotus. Alright, ki projection. Channel pure ki into yourself and then project it forward with your attacks. For 8 seconds, your basic attacks are replaced by pure ki projections. You deal d6 +6 per character level. I'm just looking to see if that scales up. Doesn't look like that stays the same. The force damage scales with higher melee or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. 2 seconds. Still 2 seconds. Yeah, okay. So all that stays the same. The cooldown is what changes. 1 minute 55 to 45. So if you like your basic attacks are replaced by ki attacks that do force damage, then this is good. If you don't like that, then this is bad. It's probably fine. Like, switching everything over to doing all force damage all the time. But I assume this means that you're going to be losing your weapon damage too, right? Or is it just going to turn all your damage attack into that? Probably, right? All your attacks get turned into that. You just deal that damage. Then you get Orchid Blossom, which I like. I like this one a lot, actually. Spell resistance. 10 spell resistance. You no longer fail a will save. Pretty much if I'm even close to this, I'll probably take it. I don't think I'll make it very often, but I think that's a strong one for sure. +1, +2, +3 to hit and damage and some fire absorption. Yeah, I'm in. Flow of water. Some saving throws. You take 15% less damage away helpless. And you can get some cold absorption. So we can pick up some fire and some cold absorption. Damage to helpless is good. 3 dodge. 6 max dex bonus. And 25 electric. Yeah, okay, that's fine, I guess. And then you get some hit points and some acid absorption. I kind of like this tier. I don't know if it's great, but I like the various elemental absorptions, and I think that these are all good. I don't know if they're, like, insane or anything, but obviously anytime that you can grab some extra damage against helpless, it's good. Some more sting attack dice and sting attack damage, and then you can pick up some evil absorption. 3 to hit and damage on crits, and then some chaos absorption. I am enjoying these quite a bit. Depending on which of the previous epic moment things you have, your Orchid Blossom now tries to stun. So that's range. Your projection now deals its damage per character level to a corresponding element. What? Depending on your stance, maybe? So fire says it takes away 2% armor class, stacking 5 times. So a monster can have 20% less or 10% less to hit or armor class. If you're in water, you can take away 15 MMR. If they're in air, you can daze, or if you're in earth, you can remove some PRR. So elemental projection now does a bunch of damage and applies a debuff depending on what you want it to do. That seems so, like, weird, right? Like a big jump. Interesting. Now Drifting Lotus attempts to stun all enemies struck. Okay, so yeah. This is good, right? Drifting Lotus, Lotus Bloom. Like, you're gonna end up taking this chain most of the time, right? Not Orchid Blossom. Because while this is less great... Oh, you don't need it to be tier 3, though, right? Actually, it modifies this, doesn't it? Let me grab some of these things really quick. Dodge? Sure. Alright, what was that one that we're looking at here? This guy. Alright, Lotus Bloom, Drifting Lotus. So now attempts to stun all enemies struck. The stun DC is 20 plus the highest of our things plus stunning bonuses. Okay. Where's our other one? That is not what we're looking for. We are losing our key wildly quickly. There we go. Now we know Kung Fu. Okay. So now Drifting Lotus should stun things. Why is it grayed out? Do I have enough key? Takes 30 key. I have to, like... Oh, I'm never going to make up enough key to even be able to test it. Alright, never mind. This seems interesting. Like an AoE stun that you just, like, do every 15 seconds. That seems okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Some saves and some MMR to pick up some good absorption. Some fortification bypass and some law absorption. I like that. MMR cap. Some force absorption. Like Tobrel said again, everyone's got one of these. Scattering of petals, epic moment, unit allies. This is one that we were trying really hard to figure out before. I'm going to have to spend more time with it to figure out exactly what's going on with it. I think this should be a really interesting ability, Scattering of Petals. You and your allies are covered by a swirling cloud of petals for 20 seconds, granting effects with Petal Swarm, debuffing your enemies with disorienting petals. So Petal Storm buff, you have full base attack bonus, you deal 10% more weapon damage, and you gain 10 PRR and armor class. So that seems really good. Disorienting, enemies with this debuff become vulnerable to sneak attacks and lose 100% fortification. We're trying to decide if this debuff was actually working, I think. Elude the Veil, you gain the effects of elusive target. If you already have elusive target, instead you double the chance for it to proc, so it's like 10% chance for it to proc. Then you pick up some dodge and some dodge cap. So Brel says, why is your dodge and your dodge cap not match? Why do you not get 3 dodge cap if they're giving you 3 dodge? I don't know. SSGY. Legendary Fury of Blows. Some double strike, double shot, some strike through, some offhand. And then if you happen to be using dual wielding, using hand wraps, or using a quarterstaff on a Vorpal, you knock down an enemy for 2 seconds on a Vorpal. And the enemies are helpless. That's pretty good. I don't know if it's good enough. Like, I think Tobrel summed it up pretty well with the... This doesn't mean monks are back. And I think that's what a lot of people were looking for. Were like, the monks need that thing to bring them back. This isn't it. They're, it's a lot of interesting and cool powers. Like, a lot of cool survivability stuff in here. But it's just not... Like, you can't be centered in armor. So, like, the key stuff doesn't do anything. You could get some value out of it here and there, but nowhere like you can from low-hanging fruit out of Shadowdancer or elsewhere. I'm going to say Grandmaster is currently Legendary Dreadnough, on the other hand, is good. Legendary Dreadnought... This one is the one that I probably spent the most time looking in last night. It's the one that I would probably set Java to just because it happens to do something. But we'll kind of knock it through here. Fearless, immunity to fear. Each core gives you 15 hit points, 10 melee power, and 6 range power. Pretty good. So then we're also going to pick up +2 to attack and damage, as well as the melee power and the other thing. And then some extra MMR to go along with it, so it's all good. Our Dread Mantle is our mantle. Obviously, every 3 seconds while it's active, nearby enemies gain a stack of Terror. Terror is a debuff, and as you know, I'm a debuff build, so we're going to do debuffing. Now, for other people, it might be something that people just start also collecting because they're in the same thing. I think it's fine if they do, but it's not going to be as good. Hit points are always good. Survivability is always gas. Dire attacks. We can pick up Dire Charge. Or we can have Dire Shot. And either thing. I think Dire Shot is way worse than Dire Charge. But it's just because Hunt's in so much better. Then you might as well just Hunt's in. So we'll Dire it up. Some Tactics DCs. If you're going to be trying to pull off the stuns and things, you'll want them. And then Action Boost. This is the Action Boost thing. I feel like it should be +1, +2, +4 if you do all 3 abilities, because you're normally going to have your stats even, and you're going to have your boosts set up in such a way that they're going to make them even. So you might as well just, if you're going to do a thing with them, assume that people take the first one because they need to, then we go to 2, make it even, and then Try to keep it even for the last one. Or make it last a little bit longer or something. Give a little bit more of a reason then to take it. Because right now I don't see a reason for it to go to +3 instead of just +2. If I was even looking for this ability. Okay. Which I have been oftentimes. Okay, more boosts are good if you're doing a boost build. More power attack if you have power attack is good. Combat style, we can sneak. If we're flanking, we get an extra +2 to attack. And then if we have tactician, we double our extra attack bonus. Okay, can be good. +1 to attack. If you have tactician feat, double it. So just +1, straight up +1 or +2 if you're flanking. And then I assume it's going to go to tier 3. And then is there a perk for tier 3? There's not. Okay. That seems not good at all. But I guess, like, there are people who are going to have a down, like, have difficulty hitting. I could actually, I guess, see Java taking this. Because I never want to be the thing that has aggro with Java. So, like, getting the extra plus to it, but I always want my attacks to land. So having the extra plus to make sure that I hit on the raid boss is pretty good. Alright. We pick up some armor class, some dexterity bonus, and some skill penalties. I guess if we're a skilly-based thing, that would be good. And you're wearing, like, a heavy armor. Also, maximum dexterity bonus is tied to your dodge bonus. So if you have more dexterity and you want to wear heavier armor, this is a good way to increase that. Looks like it goes to 6. So 6 more dodge, potentially, is pretty okay. 6 armor class I don't care about, though. Dread. I'm going to turn this on and get this going, just so you guys can see it. But it's not the greatest. So what I mean by that is now they're starting to pick up their tears, right? And now they're starting to get it. So I don't think this is enough that it's going to aggro things like early or whatever, pull things off of a tank or a boss or something. I think it's going to be fine. But if something aggroes, there's a situation where something could initially aggro on you instead of your tank. And you're just going to have to be prepared for that. It's not going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to... It's just a real trickle. It may not be anything that you're even interested in. But if you're going to be doing this debuff right here, this tear debuff, you might as well throw it in. Again, I don't think everyone's going to run it. I don't think everyone's going to run this Dread Mantle, but I currently am. Crit stats and damage are good. Double strike, double shots, good. Tactics boost. I think this could be really interesting if you're somebody who's going to be doing a lot of tactics stuff. I've mentioned a couple of times that I'm interested in the idea of building like a tripping Shadowkai build, and this might be a critical part of that. Let's just take some points to be able to go higher up in the tree. Untouchable. Why any action boost is active, you have displacement. I think that's good if you're going to be an action boost based build. Java is not, but there are lots of people who are, and that's fine. Like having displacement is pretty good. While in the mantle is active, you deal 5, 10, 15% to helpless. Yeah, I mean that's what we're about, right? Strike with fear. Your weapons attacks against creatures that are afraid or shaken have 5 stacks of tear added and 1 stack of vulnerability. So, as a debuffer, one of the things that I've had a lot of problems with is vulnerability. I just went ahead and I was able to get a pain. So I have fetters, which gives vulnerable that way. But as Tobro points out, that this is an opportunity that you might be able to swap weapons to make swaps a little bit easier in the future. So you might start with one, build up some stacks, and then switch over to a different weapon set, just so you don't have to do more swapping in the future. As it is now, you probably have to like do some cycling around to keep all of the debuffs on it. I can't do that, or not have to worry about that yet for Java because I just don't have those weapons yet. But in the future, I will. But it's possible that with Strike with Fear, it's possible that I won't have to worry about it as much. Or it also opens up the possibility that off DPS, like secondary DPS, might end up also having vulnerability being handed out. And that, again, if that's the case and they can maintain that, you can use that to your advantage to not have to do as much weapon switching as a debuffer. So, like, either way, I'm kind of excited for this ability. Whether or not it's something I'm going to take and be excited for, or be excited that somebody else is going to take, is yet to be determined. Momentum Swing. When you use your Dire Charge, your Dire Shot, enemies now also must make a Fortitude save or be tripped. That's good. It kind of missed the fact that these were like 7 attacks before, and now they all just modify your Dire Charge, but I think that's fine. Carry On. When you use an action boost, you gain 10% action bonus to attack speed. I have a feeling this is really good. I don't know it for sure yet, but I believe it's probably pretty okay. Can I just feel 1 point? Perfect. Okay, Action Hero. This is your like big super mega ultimate charge. It has everything on it. Attack, plus to hit, melee range power, attack speed, double strike, movement speed, armor class, dodge, all your tactical skills, all your saving throws, all your skills. It's the big mega thing. When you absolutely positively need to hit a thing, this is it. The downside is it's still on a 5-minute cooldown, which, as we mentioned before, all the 5-minute cooldowns feel really, really long. I would suggest somewhere between a 2 and a 3-minute cooldown. 5 minutes is just so long. That's 2 fights, or like 2 out of 5 or 2 out of 6 fights. And most DDO fights are not... There's just not that many of them in a quest, right? So you might be able to activate this boost twice a quest, maybe 3 times if you're lucky at 5 minutes. Raids, maybe you'll use it more. It's just so long. It's such a long cooldown. It's a cool ability, though. Dusk Surge. While you're got your stuff going, hitting enemies with a weapon, there's a chance to regenerate an action boost charge. Yeah, if you're going to be an action boost person, you might as well have action boost running. Again, this is not so much for Java because they don't have like haste boost. So if I had a haste boost, I would be using it for sure. Lay Waste is modify your dire attack. Enemies now must make a Fortitude save or be stunned. So now they can be stunned, tripped, and sundered. A lot of bad things can happen to you with the dire charge going. I think it's good. I like that there's less things, but I also wish that everything was in a bloody straight line, or at least one column, so we knew it was all related. I know, I harp on it a lot. Even if you left a thing blank, an option blank, so it looked like it made sense visually and had a more powerful effect because you skipped a tier, I'd be fine with it. What else we got? Legendary Rally. So this is the big mega attack, right? This is our new ultra mega super attack. Lash out with your force of will. Big cleave attack. Automatic critical. Has a bunch of extra multiplier. Can be used Y crowd controlled. Clears all crowd control effects when used. I always doubt this things when it says that, but it's on a 20-second cooldown. I'm willing to gamble for 20-second cooldown. And then, of course, you pick a weapon type to do a bunch of extra damage with, kind of in that way that they tend to do. So we'll put Dire Charge on our bar. We'll put the Legendary Rally on our bar. And we'll put Action Hero on our bar. I think those are all the things that are kind of like activatable. Yeah. And as you can tell, we've been letting this run back here. All these guys are taking like 60 points of damage. That's just not that much damage to kind of like worry yourself or bother yourself with, but that's okay. Alright, let's Dire Charge in. Bam. I didn't even see like what I thought was an attack. We'll have to see. Error received when trying to retrieve information about any support tickets associated with this account. Cool, I guess. I don't know what's going on, but okay. Weird. Alright, let's try this one more time. Let's just smash a kobold here. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel like I leapt forward. Don't feel like we... Maybe we didn't do any damage because I didn't have a weapon equipped. Let's put a weapon in our hand. Try again. Hey! Weapon attack. Alright, so that felt much better. Alright, so we fire up our action hero. Boost on. Again, just your regular old boost. Doing regular old boost things. Let's fire off this guy. If I had some melee power, it would be good. What's our melee power now? 130? We're not really attacking with a big weapon either. It's like 5 weapon damage on this thing is just not melty, man. It's good here. But clears crowd control. Does it need a hard target to activate, I wonder? Or can you bust it just when somebody's close? No, looks like you can just act it off close. Yeah, no. I think there's a lot of potential in the Legendary Dreadnough tree. Offensively, defensively, debuff-like. There's a lot of value here. It's going to take a long time to figure out the new balance for it. So again, the primary complaint is going to be, can we get things lined up in such a way that we have some sort of pattern recognition for being able to know what's what. Put the mantle stuff in a column. I don't care. Line it all up. Do the same thing with the all the dire charge type effects, all of the, what they call them, epic strikes. Yeah, all the epic strike type stuff, put all that stuff in a column so we can visually see it and track it. If the problem is that you have more things that you want to add, but you want to have space, I think you just take certain powers out and buff other powers, if that's the problem. I feel like I would rather have a hole and have it make sense and have it be more powerful, if a more rare power, than have one more option somewhere in the middle that's like medium. Right, like this right here. Am I going to take plus 10 positive and negative healing amp? There's a chance, but it's very unlikely. Right, unless I'm doing a lot of like real heavy Reaper stuff and self-healing. I don't probably need a whole lot of this. Like, I want some, but I don't need like millions. I don't need to spend my legendary Dreadnough points on it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So like a hole could be created here if necessary. Or like some of these things could just do a little bit more, I think. But overall, I think it's going to be really fun, really exciting. I think this is... We'll come back at some point and we'll knock out the next wave. But that will be another video. Thanks for watching out, everybody. Please do me a favor. Like, subscribe, follow at the various places. I appreciate it. One more time, this is taken as part of our Twitch.tv live stream. So I hope to see you there. Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Toodles.